Hello, this is Dom from BlackToad Studios and welcome to episode 46 of the 83rd Warhost Reinforcements. For those who are new to this series will show the slow and gradual growth of my word bearer force, which will slowly become an absolutely epic army. Each week we'll pick a unit or a model which will join the 83rd Warhost, and we'll have a look at what was on the previous episode, and we'll go through what we've painted, what we think of it, and also a little bit of background possibly of that unit. So without further ado, some of you may have noticed or watched a battle report that I featured on last week, which is Winter's SEO. Yes, the legend himself. And I played for the third time, I think, on his channel now. He's featured a couple of times on BlackToad Studios, and I was lucky enough to get an invite up to see him. So the battle was his 13th against the 83rd Warhost. And let me tell you, without any spoilers, absolutely brilliant game. And as always, Winters was a complete gentleman, and lots of fun was had. So what happened? We did a mission, a match play mission out of the rulebook. We did 2,000 points. Originally we were planning to do 3,000, but unfortunately due to time restraints we had to do 2,000. Those who don't know the UK, I'm down in the southeast and he is probably up westish, and it's about a 3-hour drive from my location, so it's a bit of a trek, and as always, it's very easy going with Winters. If you ever have the pleasure of playing him, he's an amazing sport and a really good guy to get on with. So my army I took was a little bit unconventional, but it was a lot of fun. It did quite well, although without giving any spoilers away, there's a points difference, quite a significant points difference, but model count at the end of the battle, I believe, kind of went the other way, and board control went the other way compared to where the points were. The points were quite a large gap. Board control, model-wise, on the other end. So a very interesting game. And that game introduced my new model, which I featured on episode 45 of the Warhost, and a very nice model indeed. So in the video, Winters asked what his name is. He hasn't got a name yet, and I kind of thought, actually, why has he got to be one person? Because, you know, in the 83rd we've got Core Kid, we've got the Vulture, we've got the Nurgle Champion, which his name's completely lost on me right now. But how about we have a character that is kind of brought into, could be anybody, a bit like the Emperor's Champion in Black Templars, or maybe like Death Company in the Blood Angels. So I'm thinking possibly that this character that I'll show you in a moment, by the way, is basically along the lines of the Emperor's Champion, where he's one character that's been summoned. He's been kind of, through prayer, has been brought up to a new level, maybe through a master possession, has been able to lure him into this kind of this world. And so I'm thinking possibly, joking aside from the Slice Lord, he would be the Exalted Prophet. So for instance, the 83rd, before they go into battle, will, of course, being word bearers, prayer, read scripture, adorn their armor with runes, and part of their ceremony is that they will try to bring forth the Exalted Prophet, and the Exalted Prophet will manifest inside to one of the most holy word bearers, one who is dignified and one is able to take on the role as the Exalted Prophet. Now, once he's the Exalted Prophet, he can attempt to lead the warband. He may just be a champion. used by the gods to conduct another mission. But once again, it's all down to the gods. The Vulture himself may not have any say in who becomes the exalted prophet, or he may be able to push someone into the favour of the gods, but not necessarily. So anyway, without further ado, we'll have a look at the model. Absolute pleasure to make this model. I'm really proud how he's turned out. Once again, thank you to the Voice of Chaos on the Favoured of Chaos podcast for making him up for me. And yeah, he's turned out really nice, I think. So without further ado, people, let's have a look to see what he's like. So here we have him. We have the Exalted Prophet, one of Lorgar's chosen sons. And his role is to bring forth the judgment of the gods upon those who do not believe in the pantheon. And love this model, absolutely love it. And for those who haven't watched the Winters game yet, he did quite well. He didn't get new model syndrome, so I'm quite happy with that. And yeah, so a Chaos Lord with the Demon Sword of Tzeentch, which essentially ignores invulnerable saves. He is also exalted, got exalted possession, so it increases his movement by 1, his strength by 1, his attacks by 1. He also gains the demon keyword and the possess keyword. So that's quite handy when you're using him as a word bearer, because there's a few stratagems there, a few uses for possessed and demons. So yeah, great use of him. And he will be appearing in future battle reports as well. So yep, that is the Exalted Prophet. Very happy how he's turned out. At the moment, I'm working a bit with my Agrax wash on the colours there, on the reds. So I'm really kind of putting it into the recessed edges as much as I can, and then highlighting it up there with the silvers and the reds to have a little bit of shading in there. It's got a bit of scripture on there, and as you can see, he's got a transfer on there as well of the word bearer symbol. As for the greens, I used a series of greens there with the green wash, and then moved it up a little bit and used an off-white. I believe I used bleach bone actually as a bit of a dry brush, and then used a green glaze on top of that to add a bit more of a depth effect on there. But yeah, really happy how he's turned out. Now, with him in mind, let's see what is next for the 83rd Warhost. Right, so we have seen the Exalted Prophet himself. Like I said, really happy how he's turned out. Great model, and hopefully we'll see him in some future battle reports. So next up, I've got a few things lined up on the paint station that will be coming up in the next few episodes. But this time, I've kind of been favouring these guys for a little while now, and it's I'm going to add to their ranks because they haven't really let me down so far, which I'm quite impressed with, because quite a few things let me down, mainly dice rolls. But from the world of Horus Heresy, Zardu Layak and his Blade Slaves. So this episode, I'm going to be doing his Blade Slaves and using them as Greater Possessed, because I've really enjoyed using the Greater Possessed in my last few battles, both on and off camera, and I need to increase their ranks. The only issue I'm having at the moment with my my word bearers is well, actually 3 of the slots in my army are getting filled quite quickly. One of which is, of course, Elite, which the Greater Possessed will take. Because I tend to be using Plague Marines quite a bit, as well as Chosen, and unfortunately, yeah, my Elite slots are going quite quickly, so I may have to convert a little bit over towards having possibly just Chaos Space Marines and Rhinos with Greater Possessed hitching lifts, because Greater Possessed are great. The characters, so you can hide them with behind, for instance, this case, Chaos Space Marines, and then they give a horrible punch to anyone that gets too close. So if I can somehow double the quantity of greater possessed I have in my army and get them up into the opponent's face. That'd be great. I definitely feel they have a very strong presence in the word bearer force as well as the 83rd. At some point I'll be thinking about adding possessed into the army. I'm going to see how these guys turn out, because the current Games Workshop kit is terrible when it comes to possessed. So I've got a couple of forts I can use. I can either use the Horus Heresy possessed models for word bearers. They're a little bit pricey. Or I can get the Chaos Space Marine kit or the Plague Marine kit, mix that with the possessed kit and see what comes out of that. That's a little, actually, to be fair, that's probably a little bit more pricey than getting the Forge World models. But the Forge World models, I think a lot of word bearer players currently have them because they are very viable, very cool models. And you can probably make unique models kit bashing with the new Chaos Space Marine kit and the possessed kit. So we will see what I end up doing. As for Zardu Layak himself, he will become a Master of Possession, because another slot that fills up quite quickly is my HQ, because the word bearers and Chaos Space Marines are very reliant on HQ units at the moment, and it's normally a bit of a lottery who gets into my army. I quite like running a Master Possession when I've got lots of demon engines, or other demon possessed troops, for instance, Warp Talons or Grey Possessed, as we were just saying. So I think he'll be quite a nice addition as well. I'm going to try and add some current 40k bits to him to kind of separate him a little bit. But the model itself is beautiful. So I'm very tempted not to do anything to him and just paint him up as the 83rd. But we'll see. I also have some other models which will be coming up in future episodes, which majority are Forge World actually. So I've got a little Forge World stash of models that are coming up. Like I said, not possessed at the moment, but there's a couple. There's a vehicle and there's a bit of artillery that will be coming up in future episodes. I also have the last 5 members of the Shadow Spear to be making up. But that's what I've got planned. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and hopefully it won't be too long between episodes, and we'll see what's next. So until then, this is Dom from BlackToad Studios. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. Hopefully you were cheering me on in the battle against Winters. If not, go and watch it and cheer me on, then I'll be able to tell if you cheered me on or not. But until next time, guys, this is Dom from BlackToad Studios. Take care.